You know, it's interesting when you mentioned how do you know how much to eat? That's probably about the simplest thing on the planet, because if you're eating whole food, plant-based nutrition, and you sit down to an enormous plateful of this delicious food, right? The caloric density is not there. The caloric density is in oil. Caloric density is in dairy. Caloric density is in meat. Caloric density is not there in the potato. It's not there in a cucumber. It's not there in lettuce. It's not there in kale. And you get so full that you say, I really don't feel like having any more because I'm feeling kind of full. But you're not full with a lot of empty calories. You are full with all of nature's most powerful phytonutrients. I will share with you, once I was giving a presentation in Dallas to the western half of the Texas Society of Family Medicine. And I finished, and a young 38-year-old family practitioner came to me and said, Dr. Esselstyn, a couple of things. One, I think what you're asking people is pretty darn tough, pretty darn extreme. And he said, what about somebody like myself? He said, I'm 38 years old and I'm really take good care of myself. But how about suppose I eat this way during the week, but on the weekends I really want to eat this food that I like so much. I said, you mean the Western food? He said, yeah. So all right, let's kind of take these one at a time. First of all, you say what we're talking about is extreme, significant, draconian, radical, and so forth. I said, I will submit to you that it is a significant change. But let's just take you right now, and we're going to transplant you to Okinawa. And you're having a conversation with me as an Okinawan. And you're saying, you guys here in Okinawa, you've been eating this way for, several thousand years, but it's really pretty radical and pretty extreme. And so as the Okinawan, I reply, well, that's one way to look at it, but I've always been sort of proud of the fact that nowhere else on the planet are there more people who reach the age of 100 than here in Okinawa. And you have an epidemic of diseases over there: obesity, diabetes, strokes, heart attacks. We don't see that over here. And we are aware of the fact that your country is being pulled into debtor's prison faster than anything you can imagine by the so-called entitlements. And one of those happens to be Medicare, and we know that cardiovascular medicine is 45% of Medicare is wasted on all these drugs and procedures that do nothing for your disease. As a matter of fact, we think your diet in the United States is the most extreme, ridiculous, radical approach. And as far as we're concerned, it's going to actually probably take you down because you're so unhealthy. You're one of the most unhealthy nations on the planet. So the family practitioner said, okay, I got that. But what about the fact that I want to eat on the weekends? I said, okay, let's talk about it. What did you hear me say during the concert, during the presentation? That your endothelial cells have taken a beating. Now, you're 38 years old. Remember the study that I showed you that showed that when you autopsy young women and men between the ages of 17 and 34, then you autopsy them, right? They've died of accidents, homicides, and suicides. The disease is ubiquitous, everybody. So if you're 38 years old, we know you're already loaded with the foundation of heart disease. And what you're asking me is it okay 104 days out of 365 to continue to destroy further my endothelial cells, which are already destroyed? Oh, okay, I didn't think of it that way. I said, well, maybe you look forward to erectile dysfunction or dementia. I like the patients to chew nitrates, and I'll tell you why. Because if you have somebody who's age 50, they're beautifully healthy. They're now making 50% of the nitric oxide from their endothelium that they did at age 25. Why? Simply because age alone. Now, does that mean that the old carcass is going to let you down? No. You can make more nitric oxide to another avenue, the gastrointestinal tract. How do you do that? Going back to the green leafy vegetables, those that are the nitrates, kale, Swiss chard, spinach, arugula, beet greens, and beets, when you chew those nitrates, chew, not smoothies, when you're chewing them, they're going to mix with the facultative anaerobic bacteria that reside in the crypts and grooves of your tongue. Those bacteria will reduce the nitrates in your mouth to nitrites. When you swallow the nitrites, they will be further reduced by your gastric acid to nitric oxide, which can now enter the nitric oxide pool. The nitrites in your stomach that did not get converted to nitric oxide, further downstream in the GI tract, will be reabsorbed into the circulation, and when it circulates back to your salivary glands, it will be concentrated 10 to 20-fold. So now as you chew additional food, your own saliva is pouring nitrites into your mouth, which when swallowed will be further reduced by gastric acid to more nitric oxide. Well, it was interesting. We only had, when we started in 1984, there was only one child who was still at home. And he was in his next to last year in high school. And we did this very quietly. And I remember one day when said, you know, are we eating differently here? It seems the food is sort of different. We said, yeah, but, you know, Daddy's sort of doing this experiment and so forth. So actually he went along with it. And now all 4 of our kids, all 4 of their spouses, and all 10 of our grandchildren are whole food, plant-based. I think it's the greatest gift you can possibly give your children is the gift of enduring health and how to obtain it. So it's been very exciting to have that kind of support in the family. And actually my wife has now written with my daughter, who's an RN, the Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease cookbook, which is kind of fun. And I think the whole family is kind of committed to this, and it's very exciting to be a part of this and see it moving forward.